Yo guys, what is good? Welcome back on the Uncle Sharma channel. It is that time. The 23-24 Serie A season is upon us, and it's time for us to do the predictions. Even though the transfer window isn't closed yet, I guess I'm a content creator, so it's a curse that we have to do these predictions every year and look like idiots every single time. But yeah, let's get into these predictions, and you guys, of course, let me know yours down in the comments down below if you agree with mine or disagree with mine. But first of all, Serie A is coming back today. Frosinone and Napoli first game, and then Inter Monza. Excited. Serie A is my favorite league, and it still remains that even with all its dysfunctionality, all its issues off the field, the marketing, the lack of money, the stadiums, everything just not quite there. But that also makes it kind of lovable. This dysfunctional, person that we all love, which is called Serie A, and especially the thing that we love about it over the last at least 2 or 3, 4 years is the competitiveness in terms of Premier League. Prem fans watching, be real with yourself. At the beginning of the season, when you're making predictions, 90%, 80-90% of people are predicting one team to win: Man City. Bundesliga, we know Bayern Munich. Liga, PSG. La Liga, Barca, Real Madrid. Sometimes maybe Atletico, but it's usually Barca, Real Madrid. Serie A, at the moment, no one has a clue. You can make a case for Lazio, Roma, even Atalanta, Inter, Milan, Juventus, and of course the holding champions Napoli. And all of those cases, I would listen to you and say, yeah, you might be spitting. They might actually win, because in Serie A, literally, the bookmaker's favorite has not won the Serie A for the last few seasons, and it's been the case last season with Napoli and before with Milan. So that's what I love about Serie A. Yes, the teams in the middle and relegation, that's where, because of the lack of money, they just can't invest, and they come up with Serie B level teams and Serie B level players, and that's where the issues are. But apart from that, I think it's still really, really good league to watch. And if you don't watch Serie A, give it a chance this season. Try watch a couple of games and see how you feel. Let's get into it. I've got this tier maker here. Shouts out to Saturnion on Twitter. He's the one who made this tier maker here. We'll start off at the bottom, of course. We're going to be speaking about the big teams all season, guys. So, calma. Let's speak about the minnows for now. My relegation 3 are Hellas Verona, Lecce, and Frosinone. Mainly, Hellas Verona, they've just been toying with relegation for a while now. Every single season, they're just, last season they escaped just by the skin of their teeth, to be honest. And I don't think this year they will do enough. They still have the exact same coach that they had last season in Zafferoni, and I just think they just don't have enough to remain in the league. I mean, if we, I'm going to pull up all the transfers that each team has done this season. So if we look at what Hellas Verona have done this year on the transfer window, it's just not going to be enough. Kalon, Duda, two guys they already had last season. Jaden Braff, like Saponara is the only kind of quality guy, maybe Bonazzoli, but that's not good enough after they sold, Ilic, Simeone, Caprari, like all these guys. Tameze, massive player for them. Veloso, massive player, captain as well. So they're going down for me. Lecce, one of the plucky surprise packages of last season, of putting them down just because they've changed coach. They've lost the coach Baroni last year. He did really well. They brought in D'Aversa, who did well at Parma, but then since then he's not really done much else. And they've lost, the key loss for them was Morten Hjulman. They've lost Asan Cisse. They've lost Colombo. So the two main strikers are gone. So at the moment, that's the thing with these predictions. A lot of these Italian teams do make a lot of late moves in the transfer window. But as things stand right now, this is my predictions as things stand. I think, unfortunately, Lecce might go down. And then the other one, of course, Frosinone, one of the newly promoted teams that just came up I think they will go straight back down, unfortunately. They had a good season last year under Fabio Grosso, the World Cup legend, World Cup winning legend. But he left after getting them promoted, after doing some good work, playing some good football. I heard good stuff about Frosinone in Serie B last year. And now they've got who I think is number one on the firing block, as usual, Eusebio Di Francesco. First guy to be fired, I think that's going to be my prediction. And yeah, even the business hasn't been particularly impressive. Lots of little loans, young players, but that's not going to cut it. That's not really going to cut it. Couple of signings from Sassuolo of Serie A quality, but I just don't think they'll have enough. They lost Mulattieri as well, so yeah, I see it difficult for Frosinone, but it would be an amazing story if they do stay up, but I don't see them doing that. Mid-table, I like how Saturnio's done this, because in mid-table in Serie A, you can just literally just like throw a cover over these teams, and you can swap and change, because it's so hard to predict these placements. I've tried to put them in order here, so I think Empoli this year are going to struggle. They lost, I think a bit of firepower this year. I mean, not like Satriano scored loads of goals for them last season or anything, but they lost him. Who else have they lost? Let's have a quick look. Well, there we are, Empoli. They brought in Giazzi, he's okay. Ranocchi is an interesting centre mid. And then just redemption. Daniel Maldini on loan, Cancellieri on loan, that's decent. But they lost Vicario, they lost Parisi. Obviously, they already lost Aslani and Barami last season. Bandinelli, a big important player for them. So I see them struggling this year at the moment. But I think they will just about scrape through relegation. Then we got Cagliari. The legend Claudio Ranieri is managing them. So I think even though I don't think they have a quality squad, I think they'll have his coaching as usual, 4-4-2 or 4-4-2 diamond. I'm not sure what he actually plays these days. Ranieri, I'll be interested to see how Cagliari actually play. But again, not particularly impressed with their business. Shomurodov, decent signing on loan. Augello from Sampdoria, good left back. But apart from that, Oristani, I'm very interested to watch this season. Of course, they saw Bellanova, Cragno. So I think they should be okay, but they definitely also need some bit of firepower. All the teams scrapping at the bottom, they always need that goal scorer. Cagliari always used to have João Pedro, remember, a few years ago. Every team needs a player like that. Now it gets more and more difficult. Of course, Salernitana there, even though they've got a good coach, they have a good coach in Paulo Sousa, but it looks like they're trying to do a bit of these kind of Moneyball type projects at the moment at Salernitana. They've signed a lot of young players. Of course, they've redeemed Bulaidia, which should help them, and the Pirola. But they've signed Levgovsky, this young Nigerian here, this Trevon Stewart from Jamaica. Like a lot of they're trying to buy a lot of these unknown players. But it doesn't really move the needle for them, I think, squad-wise. So I think they'll be there and thereabouts, like where they were last season. But I don't think they'll be scrapping this time around. I think they should be more comfortable this time around. The next up, I'll put Genoa. I think out of the promoted teams, I like what they're doing. Again, they're also trying to do kind of interesting stuff. Their coach is Alberto Gilardino, by the way, another World Cup winning legend. But they're spending some money. They had the American owners a couple of seasons ago come in. They got promoted again. Spend big money on Retegui, 12 million. I think there's some bonuses in there as well. That's a lot of money for a newly promoted team. But I think that should be. I think that out of the bottom table, that might be the best striker in the bottom half of the table, especially after Enzola's going to Fiorentina now. And I think he'll have a good season, and I think some bigger teams will be looking at him later on at the end of next season. Draguzin, Martinez, Puskas, another Inter boy, Aramula, all these are like Serie A level player. Junior Messias from Milan as well. Connie De Winter from Juve on loan. He's an interesting guy. Kevin Strootman, some good experience in midfield. And Thorsby from remember him from Sampdoria, big Norwegian guy. So I think Genoa are going to be all right. I think there's some good business. And Gilardino looks like a good coach as well. And I put Sassuolo, Udinese. I think they're going to take a step back. I don't like what Sassuolo have been doing over the last 2 years, to be honest. We know their model is buy young and resell and things like that, but there also needs to be some ready-made quality as well, some ready-made players. And Pinamonti was already a flop for them last year. This Daniele Bolocca they bought from Frosinone, but Serie B. Volpato, great talent from Roma, but again, very, very unproven. Lipani, look at all these young players. Mulattieri from Inter, of course, but none of them are really proven. A lot of them are gambles, bets. Mattia Viti is a good signing. Good to see him back in Serie A after he went off to France. But yeah, I think they already took a step back last season, but I think they're gonna take a further step back this season, because of course they've also lost Frattesi now as well, Rogerio, Muldur, Ayhan. They're losing a lot of players, so for that reason. Next up, I've put, now this is where it gets really, really difficult. It could be anywhere. I put Udinese. I think they'll take a step back, even though Sotil is still there, but they haven't really invested much in the squad. Will they be able to keep Beto? Is Deulofeu fully fit? They rely a lot on him. Let's see about that. Bologna, they were a really interesting team last year against under Motta. Again, though, has he really been backed, Motta, in the transfer window? I mean, they just lost their best striker in Arnautovic. Again, they're buying a lot of younger players. It was good that they kept Stefan Posch. He was a revelation last season. But the other signings, question marks. But they have, their sporting director Sartori is former Atalanta guy. He usually knows what he's doing. But I feel like, they needed a bit more to take the next step. They also lost Jerdy Schouten in midfield. But I think they will do more business. I'm sure Motta will push to do more business, and they might sneak up towards challenging for Europe if so. Monza, where this was one of the predictions I got right last year. I said Monza was going to be one of those teams that might even make the top half of the table, and they were close to doing that. Or I think they might have even done it, did they? So I think they will maintain the level. But as their coach said in the pre-match press conference yesterday before the Inter game, he says they need more centre midfielders. They need more depth. A lot of the guys they had last season were on loan, like Rovella, Ranocchia, the midfielder. So those guys are gone. And then they brought in, Pessina. There are a lot of redemptions that they just had to take from the deals they did last year. They brought in some experience in Gagliardini and D'Ambrosio, of course. Some youth in Valentin Carboni, who I'm also interested to watch. But I think they need a little bit more to replace Rovella, Sensi, Ranocchi in that midfield. So I think they will do that business, especially with knowing Galliani, the sporting director. They will do some business, but I think they'll be okay again. Torino and Fiorentina, Torino again. Juric, he needs to move away from Torino. They just don't give him the tools to improve. Every year he kind of does really well with the little he's given, and especially in the strike force. I think again there will be a difficult team to play against. They will make life difficult with their pressing, with their style of play. But again, have they really moved the needle, Torino? I don't think so. Look, their transfers quickly. So Ilic was a great signing last season. They managed to redeem Vlasic as well, but these are signings that were already there last season. Bellanova is an interesting one. Again, I think Juric is the perfect coach to develop Bellanova. I wish Inter signed Bellanova and then loaned them to Torino, so we could take him back after under Juric, but it is what it is. Tameze is a good signing for cheap. Radonjic redeemed as well, but yeah, not much of a needle moved there, to be honest. And they lost Singo, Izzo, Aina, Adopo, some not vital players, but they were decent players for them. They might redeem Lazzaro again from Inter, but yeah, so I think they'll be okay once again. So top half of the table, but I don't think they'll be able to challenge for Europe seriously. And then Fiorentina, they're always an interesting project. Lots of movement for Fiorentina, but again, have they moved the needle? That's the question. Have they improved? In my opinion, Beltran is a very, very interesting signing from River Plate. Again, other teams should have been looking at him. And Zola, of course, is a good signing. They should be. Are they going to be an upgrade on Cabral and Jovic? That's the question. I mean, Jovic is still there. That's the question, to see if they fit into Italiano's football. Parisi is a great signing, but they already have Biraghi there, so that was a bit a weird one. But Artur Melo, that's a good signing. I think he really fits the Italiano ball style of play, and that should, I think if he stays fit, that would be a great signing. But it's the centre back. They've always had in the defense. They concede a lot of goals. Yerry Mina for free on Everton, cheap, but they lost Igor, they lost Terzic, Saponara, Venuti. Again, not vital players, but I don't feel like they've actually improved on their defense. So again, I see them challenging for those Europa League and Conference League spots, but just don't have quite enough to take them over the edge. If you look at Opta Analysts, they have this, their simulation of Serie A this season. Theirs is very different from me at the moment. They have Cagliari, Genoa, Lecce going down, Frosinone, Verona staying up, different to me. And they have Bologna really challenging for the Europa League spots, which is quite surprising for me. So there's some difference there, but we'll see now. We're getting up with the big boys. I think Roma have actually, it's so difficult, guys. It's so difficult. You can see who I picked for Scudetto winner, but it's just because, as I said, this was my process for the Scudetto winning, how I picked my Scudetto winner. Just guesswork. So going from Europa League, Roma, I think they've done good business. If we look at all the business they've done, like Houssem Aouar is one I'm very jealous of. I think Inter should have signed him for free. Paredes has not been good. He was awful at Juve last season, but I guess good depth. Renato Sanchez, we know, good player on his day, but always injured. Indica and what's his name? Ibanez out. That's pretty good business. But again, a bit more quality in there, but injury doubts and, is it moving the needle? I'm not sure. And Tammy Abraham is out pretty much for most of the season now with an injury. Belotti scored 0 goals last year. Up front is their issue. They still don't have a striker. Mourinho's pushing for one. I'm sure they'll get him one, but for today, as things stand right now, I see Roma 7th. Then Atalanta, they've done good business. But again, they've done good business up front with Scamacca coming in, this Il Bilal Torre. We know they have good track record when buying these young strikers after losing Højlund. CDK from Milan, De Ketelaar on loan. Of course, Lukman was redeemed already last season. Good business up front, but they haven't bought. The centre backs are still the same. Toloe, Scalvini. They sold Demiral. Mitchell Bakker, I'm not a big fan of. Kolasinac, not a big fan of. They sold Boga, Mele. Of course, we already know Malinowski's gone. So, yeah, question marks on the goalkeeper position as well with Musso, Carnesecchi, who is the number 1. So I think they'll be good. I think they might be more of an attacking Atalanta again, but not quite good enough, I think, for Champions League. And then now it's really a throw of the coin now. I think Lazio actually under Sarri, 3rd season under Sarri, we've seen 2nd season under Sarri, they were great because that's Sarri. Like, the more he gets to coach a team, the more they get into those patterns of play, his style of play, his Sarri ball. And actually, they've actually done really good business this summer. When after they sold Milinkovic-Savic, Kamada, another one similar to Aouar. I wish Inter were going for Daichi Kamada for free. Fantastic signing. I think good replacement They will still miss the goals from midfield of Sangovic, and he used to get double digits every single season. But good window, a Immobile backup, a wingers backup, Kamada, Rovella, the future maybe regista of the Italian national team. Let's see how he develops. Pellegrini, good signings. But I think last season they overachieved a little bit. A lot of players maybe overperformed, like Provedel, Casale, players like that. I feel like they may regress this season, but I just had to make a guess, because I think Juventus, people forget that Juventus actually finished in the top 4, and it was because of the point deduction that they had to be, out at the end of the Conference League as well. They actually finished ahead of Inter on points before the deduction. And without Europe, I think they will be fine. They might even challenge for the Scudetto. Allegri, as much as his style of play has been bad, we've seen some developments in this pre-season of style of play. Vlahovic, surely he can't be as bad as he was last season again. Maybe his injury issues are past him. Pogba, or his injuries issues past him. Chiesa finally should be past his injury issues. Last year was almost a write-off for him after coming back with the ACL. Pretty much same team, apart from Timothy Weah. These guys have done nothing. They're talking about Lukaku, they're talking about other players, Berardi, but they'll do something. But as of right now, pretty much same squad as last year. No improvements, but no downgrades either. If the guys like Pogba and Vlahovic actually stay fit, there could be already an improvement without doing anything. So I think that definitely will be back in the Champions League spots with Allegri Terrorismo. And then Milan and Inter, two of the most changed teams in Serie A. Milan for sure, they almost have like a new squad. Lots of interesting signings, a lot of signings that I personally like a lot of the names I was Loftus-Cheek is a guy that I would have liked to see at Inter before because of his profile. Musa as well, I was talking about him. I was saying I was even tempted by him more than Frattesi. Let's see how he works out. But you can see the type of signings they're making. Young, athletic, pace. So very, very clear profiles. A lot of them, all of them from leagues outside of Italy, apart from Sportiello and Romero. So adaptation period, question marks. Defensively, they've not made any improvements. They still have the same defense as last year, which leaked a lot of goals. They don't have a real true DM, which I think could be an issue for them defensively as well. I think Reinders, out of all these signings, I think Reinders will be the signing of the season for them. I've been really impressed with him in pre-season. He looks the complete package. Very, very underrated, I think. But now Chukwueze should add that. They've been crying out for a right winger for years. They've been Rafael Leao and Inshallah for so many years. Now it's finally there's some threat on their right-hand side as well, which I think will add to their Arsenal. And they haven't really lost too much on the outgoings, to be honest, apart from Tonali. So they should be good. They might even challenge for Scudetto if everything starts to click. But it's a big if, and Pioli is also a big if. And of course, Inter, we know, I think that's after all the changes, we've probably, did a sideways step, maybe even a slight downgrade in this team. Although it is similar to Milan, we've also got younger, we've got more athletic, quicker. Maybe we become more of a transition team. Let's see how Inzaghi plays this out. I think all these teams here will be challenging for the Scudetto. I think it will be closer than last season. I don't think Napoli will run away with it. I mean, really and truly, I don't even think Napoli will win the Scudetto. I'm just having to make a prediction, so I just picked Napoli. Boring, yes, I know. But I'm just not convinced by the mercatos of these three. Whereas Napoli, yes, Rudy Garcia, big question mark. I used to like Rudy Garcia when he was at Rome a few, was it 6-7 years ago? I was just saying I would like Inter to sign him as a coach. But since then, weird coach appointment. But still, that squad is pretty much the same, apart from Kim, who is a massive loss at the back. They replaced him with Nathan from Brazil. There was João Jesus. Again, similar to Lazio, is Rahmani. and Meret going to replicate the year they had last year? I feel like there's a bit of overperformance from some players, Mario Rui, but their midfield is top notch, and now they're adding Gabri Vega on top of that. Fantastic addition. They're adding Kajus, this younger Swedish guy. Yeah, and up front they managed to renew Osimhen and Kvara, who are the two shining bright stars of Serie A. I think Kvara might not be as good as he was last year. I think teams are already starting to figure him out, but I think that partnership will still cause havoc. And again, it could be any of these teams to win it, but I had to pick one today. And let's see. Maybe we'll revise this prediction after the Mercato is over. Let's see. Hopefully I'm proven wrong and Inter win the title, but this is my prediction for today. You guys let me know down in the comments down below. What is your prediction? Where do you agree and disagree with me? What signings do you think are the most impressive ones? Which ones are the worst? I think, as I said, I think let me give a player prediction. I think top scorer, I'll go for Osimhen once again. That Napoli team is a chance creation machine. It should be still, even on the Garcia. Although I think Lautaro this year may get much closer to him. I think Lautaro will challenge a little bit closer. And then, yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Let's see how this Serie A season works out. I'm very excited for it. Ciao ragazzi. Forza Serie A.